Well, hello everyone. I see you all, and I know you can see me, and I'm glad. I am glad that you're coming on our program tonight, JW World News. Of course, that's the news the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about, but we talk about here every Saturday night and every other Sunday. Well, my name is Rick Ferrin, and I am coming to you from the apostate capital of the world, right up here in Boston. And don't you worry, there's going to be more and more apostates coming to your neck of the woods too. The Watchtower is hemorrhaging. The Watchtower is on life support. More and more people are leaving the organization, and I'll tell you what, I am one happy man. Well, anyways, we've got some really good things to talk about tonight, but I just wanted to mention now we do have some secret words. If you say the secret word that I have written down here, the duck will come down and give you $20. So we do have three secret words tonight. If I hear one of those words by a caller, you will get $20. The duck will come down and give it to you. So bear that in mind. So I'd love to have you call in. I really, really would. So try to do that tonight. We always look forward to new ones calling in, as we've been seeing this happen every Saturday night here on the 6 screens. Well, anyways, I have to tell you, this was one big week. I am so pleased to see what took place this week. We'll talk about that protest. I know everyone wants to hear about that. We'll talk about that at the top of the hour, somewhere around 8 o'clock Central Time. But let's just take a look here. Let's see what's going on. And let me see if we can't get the news out here tonight and then talk about the protest in a while. You know, I stumbled across what the Watchtower is worth. And many people listening to our program tonight, they've asked me that question many, many times. Rick, how much is the Watchtower worth? So I tried to do some statistics. I tried to find out, going back, calculating Kingdom Halls being sold. So I came up with an idea here that don't take it to the bank and cash it, because, it's just a shot in the dark of what the Watchtower might be worth. But let me see if I can't give you an idea. Looking at my notes here, there was a European documentary that came on a while back. It was about 2 years ago, and I was reviewing it this week, and they put an estimate of what the Watchtower is worth at $50 billion in euros and 52 billion in the US money. 52 billion, that's what they said, but I'm not sure I'm going to go that high. I'm going to give you my own average, just considering some of the things they were saying. What they said is the Kingdom Halls, and I think you guys realize real estate has gone up like crazy. So Kingdom Hall prices, the land, the buildings are worth a lot of money. So let's just go for the idea that Kingdom Halls around the world, or every Kingdom Hall, just average it out, say 250,000. I think that would be a fair assumption. I think that would be a fair estimate. So let's take the average Kingdom Hall at $200,000. Now, this British report listed 117,960 Kingdom Halls, but that might not be exactly true. I think they were listing the congregations that Jehovah's Witnesses have, because they report their congregations. So they were reporting 117,960 congregations. But remember that, sometimes you have 2 or 3 congregations meeting in one hall. So we can't say that there's 117,960 Kingdom Halls, right? So I'm just going to say 75, just for the sake of figuring here. Say there's 75,000 Kingdom Halls. The Watchtower doesn't tell us how many Kingdom Halls there are, but let's just throw it against the wall here. Say there's 75,000 Kingdom Halls, and let's say that those Kingdom Halls are worth $250,000 a piece. Well, if you take 75,000 times, say 200,000. If you take 75,000 times 250,000, that comes up to be $20 billion. 75,000 times 250,000, which would be what a Kingdom Hall would be worth. So there's 20 billion right there. But we can even bring it up a little bit more than that. You know, the Watchtower has a lot of equipment. They have printing presses. They have a farm. They have vehicles, trucks. They have a lot of other assets. I mean, tons of assets all around the world. So let's go with, I'm going to throw another 5 billion into the mix. So let's bring that up to 25 billion. Now, we also know the Watchtower has stock, millions of dollars in stock. We don't know exactly what's in all of their portfolios, but we know enough. We do know, we've reported here on the 6 screens. But I'm just going to throw a figure out at you. I'm going to say they have got, I would say, $5 billion in stock. I'm serious. These guys own a lot of stock, so that brings it up to 30 billion. You think the Watchtower is worth 30 billion? I'm beginning to think so, but don't take these figures to the bank and cash it. People have been asking me this for quite a while. What do you think the Watchtower is worth, Rick? I'm just trying to run some numbers and put it together. So now let's also remember that they're getting cash in every month. You know, people are donating houses and property. So I'm willing to go on the record to say the Watchtower was worth somewhere in the 40, $45 billion range. I don't know. I mean, I can't tell you for certainty, but that's a lot of money. And they're not too generous with their money. We all talk about that, right? We all know they're not too generous with their money. So what are they doing with $40 billion? Friends, it's not a poor organization. You know, some people say, oh, the Watchtower is going bankrupt. Well, I mean, they're paying out a lot of lawsuits. Now, you know, I don't really know. I know those are the assets, but I'm not really sure what the liabilities are. Maybe they are becoming insolvent. But when you have $40 billion, it's going to take an awful lot for an organization to become insolvent. So this is my thoughts on it. I just want to throw that on the table for what it's worth. So what do you guys think? Do you think the Watchtower is worth around 40 billion, 45 billion maybe? Go ahead, say hello to us, hit *6. Do you think those are inflated numbers? What do you think? You're on with us. Go ahead.
Hey, Mr. Farron, this is Stephen.
Yes, Stephen.
I don't think that Watchtower has as much money as we might think they have for and just a thought. If you think about this, I believe the project is called Ramapo, and it seems like they are dead in the water with that. And to me, the only reason why they would not have moved on with that is that they don't have the money. If they had, $50 billion, in my opinion, they already be full underway with construction and all the rest. But they seem to be, after a year or whatever it is, and you've reported on it, you've given us status on it, it seems to be out of the window. And what could be the reason? In my opinion, the only reason could be financial. So they might, I don't think that they're in as good a financial shape as they could be. And hopefully that's the case, and hopefully it gets a lot worse.
Right. Well, here's what you got to think of too, Stephen. Now, I'm just saying that's what their assets could be worth. You know, all the Kingdom Halls, the Assembly Halls, the property in the range, say, of 40 billion. But now, it could be like a person owning a $500,000 house. His assets show 500,000. Boy, that house is worth, the property is worth $500,000. But maybe he owes more out in debt than the house is worth. So we don't have those numbers, but I'm just trying to give people an idea. The assets, they have assets in the billions of dollars, but we don't know exactly what their total liabilities are. That we don't know.
That's correct. And then I remember years ago, Jordan Maxwell wrote about how he had gone to dinner with at least one governing body member, some other high-profile witnesses, and then there was his banker there. And he learned over the evening that this was the commercial banker for the witnesses. and they would get blank checks, however many blank checks they get every year, and whatever number they wrote on there, that bank would back it up. But that makes me think that, if they're getting loans to do various things, they've got to have collateral for those loans. The collateral is probably the Kingdom Halls, and that might be part of the driving force about why they have to keep selling so many halls, because maybe the banks are demanding that they have some kind of collateral on hand, and they probably see that people are leaving the organization. And so why am I going to keep handing you money when you're not going to be in a position to pay this back? So I personally don't think they're in as good a financial shape as they in. And like I said, I hope that's the case, and I hope it gets a lot worse. Thanks, Rick.
Well, no, but Stefan, you ought to be a CPA accountant, because you threw something into the dynamics there that's very, very sensible. Very, very sensible. Collateral. Maybe some of the banks are saying, hey, look we need some more money up front or whatever. It's something. Or maybe they're attaching some of the Kingdom Hall. So that's a good thought, Stefan. Thank you very much. Always good to hear from Stefan. Thank you, Stefan. So what do you think, guys? I know I'm looking at YouTube here and saying, Rick, it's a little conservative. Maybe they're worth more, but they're not going to tell us. They're not a publicly held company. It's a private company, so they don't have to really divulge their financial paperwork. But I tell you what, they're worth money. Go ahead, Arizona. You're on with us, Gilbert Gonzalez. Go ahead, Gilbert.
Hey, Rick, you and I talked about this so many times, how the comparisons with Sears and Eddie Lampert, which is the CEO. So isn't it a coincidence that Sears is going down, but guess who owns the property in your city that Sears closed down? Eddie Lampert property. So it's a different company. So what he did is he took the property that Sears would have, and they would have no rent because Sears owned the property. Well, now they just moved it over to the CEO, and now the company pays the CEO rent. And so when you're talking about Watchtower and their net worth, we already know, all of us know, that Watchtower has lots and lots of corporations. Well, this is one of the reasons why, because it's like a man who has a large family and he's rich. Well, he doesn't have to have all the money. He can put some of it in his sons, his daughters' names, and his wives and girlfriends and so forth. And so that he still has all the property and control, but technically, it's diversified. And so the real owners of the Watchtower that we don't know, the real owners of Watchtower, which is the shareholders of the New York and Pennsylvania stock, we don't know who these people are. Well, I think a lot of that money gets diverted out. So Watchtower is telling you the truth. They do have a shortage of money coming in. They have a lot of money coming in. They just don't want to use the money that they have in reserves and put it to use. They have a cash flow problem. More money is leaving Watchtower than is coming in. But they have a lot of money in the bank. They just don't want to use that money. They only want to use your money that you give on a monthly basis. Does that make any sense?
No, it does make sense. In fact, you explained it really well, Gilbert. In other words, they have donations coming in every day, really. And then people are leaving them property. In fact, I just read online this week that one man died. A Jehovah's Witness man died. He was an old man, and he left $8 million to the Watchtower. So they get money coming in pretty much on a daily basis. So, but there's a lot going out too. And that's what we all of us have to make a budget. We have to stick to our budget, and you never want more going out than what's coming in. But Watchtower might right now, as Stefan was thinking, maybe we have more going out than coming in. We don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last thing is, Rick, I sent you an email and a text message, and you're going to get a kick out of it. And it's because they were talking about Watchtower and the New World Translation. And Watchtower added a new chapter to Matthew 29, and I went ahead and sent you that information. But okay, that's it. I'll talk to you soon.
Oh, Gilbert, you're a good man. You just keep saying Gilbert. We love you, buddy. Thank you. All right. Let's see who else we got on. It looks like we got the United Kingdom. Are you there? Did you want to come on, say something, Steve? United Kingdom, I do believe you're on with us.
Hi, Rick, yeah.
Yes,
I just
Steve.
wanted to comment on that. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, sir. We're here.
I just wanted to comment. Just wanted to comment on those figures. That you said 75,000 Kingdom Halls worldwide, just as a rough guess.
Yeah.
You know, based on loosely on figures that we've heard. Now, I used to work when I was in the, when I was in the org. I used to be on the. I used to collect the money at the end of the meetings, and I was amazed at how much cash people had put into the contribution box. And I just worked something out just very quickly in my head. If there is 75,000 Kingdom Halls worldwide, right?
Yeah.
And let's say that $250 per month is donated per Kingdom Hall, right? That is $19 million per month. And that's if there's only one congregation in that Kingdom Hall. In a lot of Kingdom Halls, there's more than one congregation. So, that just gives us some figures to work at, really. Just, you could say like $20 million a month is working capital just by contributions alone, which is pretty interesting.
Well, thank you for figuring that out. Yeah, that's another avenue of revenue for the Watchtower. They have the brothers and sisters spending so much. They pledge so much. So I'll go with that. Millions of dollars a month are coming in. It's not a poor organization, Steve, is it?
Absolutely not. No, it's. I was amazed, when I used to work at the back and collecting money. Sometimes there'd be a wad of I remember one night there was a roll of notes, and of course we work in pounds over here. It was like £350. Just it was all in a roll, so it was one person had put that in. And that night we took about £500. But I mean, most meetings you'd have between 150 and £200 at most meetings, So I'm being very when I'm saying $250 or pounds, whatever, per month, I think I'm underestimating it there, not overestimating it. I'd say I'm underestimating it. So yeah, that's it's amazing. And that's just by contributions alone. That's just contributions. And I know, like in some countries, my wife's from the Philippines, and there's some very poor congregations there. They probably give very little, But then on the other hand, there's some very rich congregations, so it all evens out at the end. So yeah, it's amazing how much money they give.
And yet they're not willing to help any. Have you ever got help from the Watchtower, Steve? Did you ever have them say, "Hey, Steve, can we help you a little bit"?
I know. No, I have had one or two individuals, I've got to say, kind individuals that have helped in the past when we've been suffering different things. But that's not a general thing that's done. That's not an organizational thing. That's a personal thing.
Well, you're absolutely right. I've asked here a number of times on our program here for the last 18 years, has anybody out there ever received something from the Watchtower organization? Maybe you needed food. Maybe you needed Pampers for your baby. Maybe you needed rent to pay or electric to pay, and you fell through the cracks. Did anybody ever ask us numerous times on the Six Screens, has anybody ever got help from the Watchtower? No one's ever said that. Some elder in the congregation might have given them some money or some other witness, but never from the Watchtower. And we're looking at a multi-billion, with a B, billion organization. Okay, we have got coming in here right now, 712. You're on with us. Go ahead, 712.
Yeah, Rick, all those contributions are tax-free too.
Well, Jeff, that's another, thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. That's another avenue to go down. It's all tax-free. There's no tax on this. These guys are rolling in the dough.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jeff.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
This is Angela. And, number one, I was going to just say that, they've been getting sued all over the place. And so knowing that, like even Worldwide Church of God, when they were falling apart at the seams, well, what they had done is they had taken their money and diversified it into all kinds of different companies that were, that didn't become LLCs, that it's like money that no one can get to. So if they get sued, then it's like it's not going to look like they have all that much money. And so I think it's a really sick thing that they're doing, because we saw in the show that we did with Quinn, where he went on to the IRS website using their EIN number, and you could see all these massive companies and assets of every kind that they put money into. There was like a hidden protected money. So they're protecting themselves like crazy so that they don't have to look like they have any money. So that's a whole nother problem. And the lawsuit is probably what drove that. So.
Well, Angela, that's a sharp observation. It really, really is. That's another thing that you have to look at, because they do hide their income. So thank you for sharing that with us. Always good to hear from Angela. Thank you, Angela. All right.
Thank you.
All right, let's take a look here. My goodness gracious, we've got a lot of people coming into the 6 screens tonight. Anyways, we're glad that you're with us. Now, I'm going to stick with it. I say 40 billion. What do you think? 906 is the Watchtower worth 40 billion? 906? Go ahead.
Well, ain't worth nothing.
Yeah, hello. Mr. Fair?
Well, yeah, hold on 1 second. We got 2 people for 906. Okay. So let's go with the first one.
Ahead.
You both live up there in the northern peninsula of Michigan, but go ahead, 906. Daniel.
Yeah, I'm in actually Oklahoma. I'm working in Oklahoma, so I've still got the 906, but I'm in Oklahoma. But I mentioned this before a long time ago, but this family I knew in Nigeria during the pandemic, this is how the Watchtower has your back to make sure that you're taken care of. Not. So this woman during the pandemic, this sister, is when their stores closed down, their markets closed down. They didn't have anywhere to go buy food for a couple of weeks. Everything was closed. So they were really hurting. And a lot of them don't have fresh water and stuff. So when they went to like their book study meeting, because meetings were in individual homes then, and there was only 6 to 8 people, whatever it was, the sister went and was hoping that the society, because there was a branch office near Lagos, Nigeria, hoping that the brothers were going to bring food in and maybe dispense that out and help the ones. Well, she gets to the meeting, the mom does, and there's an elder there conducting the meeting, and he says, thanks to Jehovah's loving provision, the faithful and discreet slave has authorized them to take money from the contribution boxes and dispense it out to ones that might be in need. Well, here's the problem. They all just, their heads drop, because nobody's been at the Kingdom Hall at that point already for a couple months. So there's not going to be no money in the contribution box. So she realized at that point, she was not going to get help. The organization just left them, abandoned them. So she's walking home, praying to Jehovah, what do I do? How do I feed my family? Why is the Watchtower not helping us? And she comes around the corner. There's a Catholic church with a big old sign that says, we have food, come and whatever. So she went and she got enough food to feed her family. This is a Catholic church that feeds her family. She got home, walked the rest of the way home, asked the kids to come in the living room and says, I want to tell you, I'm no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm done. This is not God's religion. If this was Jehovah's organization, he would be taking care of his own people, or the religion would be taking care of its people. So she had to go to a Catholic church to provide for her family, because the Watchtower sure wasn't.
Oh, Daniel, that is a magnificent story to give you an idea of what the Watchtower is all about. They don't help you with diddly squat. They had to go to the Catholic church and get it. Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate that. My goodness, I mean, we know the Watchtower doesn't help people with anything. They are stingy. They are greedy. And billions of dollars. It's not as though it's some, rinky-dinky organization that doesn't bring money in. They're bringing millions of dollars in, as Steve from the United Kingdom said earlier. Wow, my goodness, I tell you what. So anyways, we'll stick with the around 40 billion. I mean, that's just in assets. That doesn't mean that they have that in cash. but I would say they have at least 40 billion, maybe upwards of 50 billion in assets, but I don't know what their liabilities are. Their cash might be low. All right, we're going to go on. We're going to move on. We got more stories to talk about here tonight on the Six Screens Telenetwork. We have got India. Isn't that a terrible thing that happened in India? Yeah, I mean, really, folks, I mean, that really was the most terrible thing that's happening. And I want to warn you, I'm going to play a video. I'm going to play a video, but I want to warn you that I don't know if little children should be watching this, or if you're sensitive to violence and mayhem, you might not want to watch this. But I'm going to play a video. It's about 1.5 minutes long. But let me play the video. And if you're on the Six Screens video suite, let me just do this. Let me get the Six Screens video suite. I want them to see it. I don't want to eliminate them from seeing things. So let's see if we can't get the Six Screens video suite to also see this. So let me get the. All right. We'll have to get it up first. Okay. So we'll try to get up for you guys in the Six Screens video suite so you can see it. But I'll do that during the playing of it on YouTube and Facebook. But anyways, I'm gonna play the stream right now. Send the kids out of the room. If you are sensitive to violence and mayhem, leave as well. But if not, I mean, I'm going to show you some actual footage taken evidently by a Jehovah's Witness on their cell phone of the explosion that took place in India. It's terrible, friends. But let's do it right now. All right, let's share it. And let me make sure the video's up. And we'll be able to get this playing. All right, let's play it right now.
Back-to-back blasts within minutes of each other. The final day of a prayer meet in Kochi's Kerala ended tragically. 3 blasts ripped through this congregation at the convention center in Kerala's Kallamasheri. 2 women have died and over 50 people injured. Cops suspect improvised explosive device was kept inside tiffin boxes at the location.
So totally 52 persons were brought to the hospitals, including medical college. Here 37 persons were brought injured.
While the NIA team rushed in from Kochi and another team from Delhi set off for the location, one person, identified as Dominic Martin, surrendered before the police within few hours and claimed responsibility. The 48-year-old claimed that he had differences with Jehovah's Witness, the Christian sect that organized the prayer meet.
One person has surrendered in Kodagara police station in Thrissur rural in the morning, claiming that he has done it. His name is Dominic Martin, and he claims that he belongs to the same Sabha. We are verifying.
This is a second terror incident in Kerala, followed by the train fire back in April, where 3 people had died. Besides that, the NIA had also busted a Kerala-based ISIS module in July. With multiple terror instances being reported in Kerala, the spotlight is on the Pinarayi Vijayan government, which has called the case serious.
Okay, we'll stop it. We'll stop it right there. Let me just see where that's coming through here. Just give us a second. All right, so let's just end that right there. But anyways, you can see what I'm talking about. I mean, it was pretty bad. Someone did take footage of the bombs going off. It was a terrible thing that happened in India this past week. And we'll talk a little bit about it. So I'm glad that we could at least show the video, and thank you for watching if you did. But I mean, it's pretty hard to watch. It's pretty darn hard to watch when you stop and think about it. But let me just go back to my YouTube here.
Hey, Rick.
Yes, Daniel.
Did I was having a hard time understanding if they said, was the person that was guilty of, or that took this act, were they an ex-jailer being shunned, or their family split up? Did it say what?
Yeah, in
Why
fact,
is
I'm
that
gonna
person
I'm gonna give that report right now. I'll talk about that report.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You know, in fact, if you saw that video, you know, when we were all little, right? We were all young kids. We all went to the conventions, the assemblies, and you know, as kids, we were bored at the conventions and assemblies. But can you imagine seeing that? How these kids would be traumatized for life. Seeing a bomb go off in a Kingdom Hall, it would be traumatizing for these young kids. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. And there's another, I'm going to play another video. Let me play another video right now so you can get the idea of the full scope of what took place. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can find that so you can see the full scope of it. So we talked about the explosion in Karata. Okay, let's listen in right now. I think I just showed that one to you. But let's go to another one. I want you to see it. Well, anyways, we reported all over India. It was the biggest event that would have been last Saturday. That would have been a week ago today that this took place. It was terrible. It was horrifying to see what happened. Let me just check this out one more time here. I just want to see if I play the right one to you. Just give me a second. Don't go anywhere. So this is the explosion. Now, this is very graphic. So if you have children, have them leave the room. Watch this. Someone took this video while they were in the Kingdom Hall on a phone. So watch this. Maybe you guys can't see it because I probably didn't share it, but give me a second here. Let me go back to my StreamYard and see if we can't get this to play for you. Just give us a second, and I want this to play for you. I want you to see it. This is terrible what took place in this Kingdom Hall. So let's do that right now. Just give me a second. I'll share the screen, and we'll see if we can't get this up for you. Okay. So let's play this right now. Well, you see how bad that was. I mean, that really was a terrible situation. We won't play any more of that, but you can see it. I mean, imagine the trauma that people would experience when they saw that. So that was actual footage from a Jehovah's Witness phone, evidently. So, you know, an act of violence against Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, this isn't certainly something that we would ever advocate here on the Six Screens. It's not very pleasant to see something like this. The man who did the bombing, very shortly after the people were bombed in the Kingdom Hall, a man identified himself as Dominic Martin. And he claimed that he was a member of the Jehovah's Witnesses and has surrendered to the Kadakar police station. And he mentioned that he was at one time a Jehovah's Witness. In fact, even kind of suggesting he still was an active Jehovah's Witness. And he was suggesting to the authorities that Jehovah's Witnesses are a very dangerous organization in the country. And he actually claims responsibility for bombing that Kingdom Hall. And like I say, his name was Dominic Martin. And before surrendering, he wrote a post on Facebook claiming responsibility. He claims to be a Jehovah's Witness who was not happy with the activities of the group. Now, friends, I mean, a lot of us on here tonight are listening in, and we're not happy either with the activities of the Jehovah's Witnesses, right? But we're not going to go out and bomb a Kingdom Hall. We would never advocate anything like that. Now, whether we are happy or not about the activity of the group, there is no room for murder. This man, Dominic, was a murderer. There were three females that were killed, including a 12-year-old girl that also has died just in the last day or so. And when you stop and think about it, that young girl, all that was left was her charred remains. So, friends, we're sensitive. We don't like to see any Jehovah's Witnesses die. I mean, I'm sensitive to it. I'm sure you are too. Now, at least 10 others have also had serious burn injuries, and there are many yet that will die. The number of 3 dying might not be the total. We may see more in the next couple of days. This is a senseless act. It's murderous. Now, we all have been hurt and we all have been harmed by the activities of the Jehovah's Witnesses. But we're certainly not going to go out and do anything like that. Our hearts go out to all the injured Jehovah's Witnesses and their families, and the families of the deceased. It's a very difficult time, I'm sure. Put yourself in that position. Now, this Dominic Martin, he took responsibility, that is, for the Kerala blast. And he accuses the witnesses, what his beef is with the witnesses. And he had a lot of beef with the witnesses, as we would have beefs with them, but we're not going to go out and bomb a Kingdom Hall. But Dominic Martin, he says that the witnesses, they have an anti-national belief, which incidentally, he says, matches radical Islam. Well, I'll tell you what, the Russian government kind of says the same thing. The Russian government says the Watchtower or the witnesses are terrorists. So this man, Dominic, he's saying in his social media report posts, he's saying that the witnesses have anti-national beliefs which match Islam, radical Islam. Martin reportedly said that Jehovah's Witnesses asked children not to sign or not to sing the national anthem or join the defense systems or services. Well, that's true. I mean, Martin, who is the killer here, the bomber, he has a lot of complaints against the Watchtower, as all of us have. Yes, we do. I mean, I'm not in any way condoning these murders. I'm not in any way saying that it was a good thing. In fact, I would say that it's very, very bad. It's ugly. It's terrible. You don't have to resort to that type of violence. But, he says that the Watchtower would kind of dictate to the children not to sing the national anthem. He says that the Watchtower is ruining the people of the world. He said this organization is bad for the country of India. Well, I have to say the same thing, but I'm not going to go out and murder people. I'm not going to put a bomb in the convention. So anyways, he says that his name is Martin. He's not apprehensive. He's not, standoffish. He's coming on saying his name is Martin, and I'm taking full responsibility for the bombing of that convention center. He says he's been with the movement for 14 years. He says that he realizes a very strong movement and its teachings are extremely treacherous. I mean, this is what this guy's saying. At first, when I heard about that convention center being bombed, I really thought it was by terrorist organizations in view of what was going on in Hamas, in Palestine, and Israel. So, but then he goes on to say, he says, they are telling a 4-year-old boy not to eat candy that his friends have given him. Now, this is a little illustration that he's trying to stress to the government the problems that the Jehovah's Witnesses put on children. He says that there's a 4-year-old boy, and he is not to eat the candy that his friends give him. Now, he uses the illustration. He says, 50 kids, think of the stress it would cause when 49 of them can't eat the candy, and they're told 49 of them eat the candy, and only one is told not to eat it. That would be the Jehovah's Witness. So he's using this as an analogy, a story concerning, saying the Pledge of Allegiance or perhaps singing the national anthem. Everyone else, all of his friends are doing it, but he can't do it. So he's claiming that Jehovah's Witnesses, it's like poison. And the Jehovah's Witnesses poison their children. This is what Martin is saying. So, I mean, he's off base. Obviously, he's got some mental issues. So and then he talks about even Jehovah's Witnesses won't allow people to vote. He says that's bad. So, I mean, no matter what the Watchtower teaches, it certainly doesn't in any way present a situation where a person should go in and bomb a Kingdom Hall. So it's just absolutely crazy. There's so many ways to get back at the Watchtower organization than going in and dropping a bomb or two. We can spread awareness and by different ways, by protesting and by writing on Reddit and writing all over the internet and doing YouTube videos. And violence is something that should never be the answer to fighting the Jehovah's Witnesses. So I wanted to bring that up. I have to say, too, that these things are happening. We know that there's a lot that has happened to the Jehovah's Witnesses, and it shouldn't really shock us, but it is happening. And we are seeing so many events taking place around the world that Jehovah's Witnesses are now in a dangerous lifestyle. Really, if you're going to become a Jehovah's Witness today, if you're going to join the Jehovah's Witness organization today, send me an invitation to your funeral. That's just about what it boils down to. It's really stop and think about it. I just went back and I looked at some of the incidents, some of the death-dealing events that have happened to Jehovah's Witnesses. And I went back to 2021. And do you remember El Chapo, the drug dealer in Mexico? Well, he murdered 4 Jehovah's Witnesses for coming to their door. He was a drug dealer, and he thought they were spying on him, so he murdered 4 Jehovah's Witnesses. You're out in service, you're knocking on doors. You don't know whose door you're knocking on. But back then, El Chapo killed 4 Jehovah's Witnesses. But I mean, there's many stories that go beyond that. How about the 2 pioneers that were stabbed in Argentina? Do you remember that? And how about down there in South America? Let me show you something else. Let me get in here and show you the pictures. In South America, friends, I'm not just talking out of hand here. I'm telling you the truth, and you guys have got to come to grips with this. I'm not trying to look for sensationalism, but I'm telling you, being one of Jehovah's Witnesses and going door to door is a very dangerous proposition today for the witnesses. Let's take a look over here. Well, let me just show you some pictures here. That right there, I'm going to show you that guy right there. That is Dominic. That is Dominic Martin. He's the one that blew the bomb up in the Kingdom Halls in India. And then let's take a look over here. There's so many things I want to talk about. Being a Jehovah's Witness is very dangerous. See this man right here? Well, that's Miguel Perez. Now, Miguel Perez, he lived in Rockford, Illinois. And just going back to February this year, he was in a car waiting for the service group to come back, and he was gunned down by a gunman while he was sitting there waiting. So this is something, friends, I have to tell you, this is not, I'm not just blowing wind here. I'm telling you, these things are happening. And I don't know if you ever read about back in 1985, but a bomb blast actually destroyed the Casula Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses in Sydney, Australia. One man was killed. A bomb went off. Geez, being a Jehovah's Witness today could be very dangerous. And then how about this? I mean, let me put this up right here. Take a look here. Remember this picture we talked about on the 6 screens? Well, that is out in, well, that's down in South America. That's in South America. The man and his wife were out in service, and the wife had her purse stolen, and she was stabbed. I mean, I'm reading stories like this all over the internet, And how about this one right there? Take a look at that picture. That's Thornton, Colorado. In Colorado, there's the picture. This is Kingdom Hall. If you remember that, we talked about it on here as well. On Christmas morning, 2022, a former member of Jehovah's Witness congregation in Thornton, Colorado, well, he threw some pipe bomb devices into the Kingdom Hall. Fortunately, they didn't blow up, but he shot his wife and killed her, and then killed himself in the parking lot. This is all what's going on in the Jehovah's Witness world, friends. I'm trying to wake you up. I'm not trying to over embellish or say anything that is going to make you think, geez, Rick, you're just looking for sensationalism. I'm not. I'm telling you, if you're going to become a Jehovah's Witness today, really, send me an invitation to your funeral, because that's how bad it is. And then how about on March 9th, 2023? Do you remember that? Do you remember what happened on that date? March 2023, a mass shooting occurred at a Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses in Hamburg, Germany, killing 6 adults and an unborn child. So I'm not making this stuff up. It's dangerous. It's very dangerous to become one of Jehovah's Witnesses. And that is the Kingdom Hall right there in Hamburg, Germany. So, we got to stop and think about these things. And if you're listening in and you want to join the Jehovah's Witnesses, and you say, gee, this is a good religion, I think my family and I will join, send me an invitation to your funeral, because, that's how bad it's getting. Okay, you're on with us. Go ahead. 615, go ahead. You're with us. Go ahead, speak up. Let's go with 239. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. I just wanted to add in for the protest thing. It's different from what's going on with India. I can tell you that much.
Well, what did you want to say, Guy?
Yeah. I encourage ex-JWs to prove yourself nonviolent. Go for the Nobel Peace Prize. But there are videos on how you can qualify for that, because in regards to Norway, I think this organization is worth the whole nation in itself, the nation of Norway. Norway being a rich country in itself. And this thing with Norway having its vessel being forced to merge with Denmark.
Well, we know about Norway. We know Norway is really investigating the witnesses, Guy. We know that they're taking away some of the status and the charitable funds because of shunning. Well, thank you, Guy. Thank you for coming on, being with us here on the 6 screens. Good to hear from you. Thank you. Thank you, Guy. All right, we got to move forward. We got a lot to talk about here on JW World News. Of course, that's the news the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about. Get that picture out of there. All right, so anyways, let me just check something. I'm looking to see if we're going to have our Justin come on. He was at the protest, so we're looking to see if Justin will be coming on. He'll be coming on here shortly. But let me tell you something about the Watchtower Corporation, Jehovah's Witness organization as we know it, and the governing body. They have created a completely toxic environment for anyone who gets near Jehovah's Witnesses as a group. A toxic environment, friends. And stop and think about it. I'm going to give you my view. Right now, there's many Jehovah's Witnesses that are in a chronic state of poor mental health. Do you believe that? There's many Jehovah's Witnesses right now, according to Dr. Jerry Bergman, in his book, Jehovah's Witnesses and the Problem of Mental Illness. In fact, he says it's 4 times higher in the Jehovah's Witness religion than in other religions. So many Jehovah's Witnesses right now are in a poor mental health state. the number of suicides. Many listening to this program tonight, they know there's many people have committed suicide, friends of yours, I mean, that have taken their lives because of the policies of the Watchtower organization. Friends, the Watchtower, as we say, has created a toxic environment. How about the number of Jehovah's Witnesses that are living in abstract poverty due to the following strict anti-education teachings of Jehovah's Witnesses? Many Jehovah's Witnesses live in abstract poverty. And what about the dark cloud of imminent destruction by Armageddon? Can you possibly live a life always focusing on the thought that the world is going to be destroyed by Armageddon? I mean, that hangs on your mind every day, every hour of every day. Jehovah's Witnesses are thinking, Armageddon's coming. Do you think that's good for your mental health? Come on. How good can that be? This is the reality that Jehovah's Witnesses teach. It really overloads their brains, don't you think? Well, I think so. So the endless teachings from the Watchtower is something that is really creating issues for the Jehovah's Witnesses. And you know it as well. When you were one of Jehovah's Witnesses, you could never do enough for the organization. Do you think that would weigh on you mentally? Do you want to live in a world where you can never do enough? You're out busting your butt every day. And their attitude is, okay, what are you going to do tomorrow? Really? When you stop and think about Jehovah's Witnesses have created so many mental crises, so many mental issues, mental breakdowns for the Jehovah's Witnesses. The Watchtower, yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I add a comment, or am I cutting you off?
Go ahead. Yep.
I was going to tell you, when you're talking about mental issues, I think you'll find this fascinating. My mother-in-law has been mentally sick her entire life. She is, I was just to paint a story or the background. She is so mentally sick from Watchtower that she eats, sleeps, and breathes Watchtower. She could be a Jehovah's Witness geek, I guess you could say, like just eats everything up. And she is a fear mongerer. She's afraid of everything that Watchtower says to be afraid of. She is completely homophobic. She can't, if a waiter is gay or appears to be gay, even appears to be gay, she doesn't want to eat her food. She's really extreme. And she has been very physically sick her whole life. And you know what? She had a really good doctor named Dr. Kroshak. And this guy was from another country, like Poland or Sweden or something. And he was pretty smart. And he told her that your religion is causing you your pain and stress. It's mentally. Your mental anguish is causing you to have physical harm upon yourself. And she got so offended at him for it that, like, she swore him off, but then went back to him eventually because she's so sick. She has completely blown up at him in his office, and he still lets her back in, making a scene in front of everybody. This is mental illness, and I know this is uncomfortable for the audience to hear, but I think it's important to hear, to know how bad it can affect people. My mother-in-law, Renee Haug, is so out of her mind. She has to correct everybody that what she's doing because she's the conscience of everyone around her. It's the most frustrating person to be around. And this is what Watchtower, it's almost like Watchtower's Frankenstein. So I just wanted to give that story and just give you guys some background of really, like, to stand up for Rick and tell him, like, yeah, they are really causing serious, like, this doctor seriously says it's in your mind. It's in your mind. And she went to doctors all around the country, to California. She's from Florida. She went everywhere. She went to the Northeast. She went everywhere. And finally, one doctor said, it's in your mind. It's in your mind. And it's because of the mental trauma that Watchtower has done to her. And he even said that. But I thought I'd share that with you, Rick.
Well, that's wonderful, Eric. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, these guys have created so many issues for so many people I don't debate a word that you say. You know,
Hey, Rick.
yes,
Hello, Rick?
yes, go ahead. Let's go with 630 first. Go ahead, 630.
Oh, I actually just caught it the Emory's program. I like your program also, but just kind of lucky branch off what the last caller said. I do notice that a lot of people, especially like the diehard, the ones who've been in for a long time, you could just see them change, not only like physically but mentally as well. Like, I mean, not to kind of like speak bad on my mom, for example, but I've noticed that over the years, as she became more and more serious into it, I've noticed that she just becomes like an empty shell of herself to the point where I don't even really recognize her anymore. And it's other members of my family too, but I think she's like a little bit more extreme with it. And I mean, I love my parents too. I mean, don't get me wrong. And I mean, if they're happy, I'm happy, but it's just kind of sad though to see.
Well, it is sad, brother. It is very, very sad. So that's your mom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very difficult. I mean, really, you love your mother. I mean, you have one mother, but to see her so deeply involved in really not enjoying life because of Watchtower, that has to hurt, right?
I mean, it does, and it did at first, but then I just kind of, 'cause I have an older brother, and we both just, we talk somewhat regularly, and we both, I mean, we never really took it like seriously. I mean, I don't know, I never have. I was always, I just, it just was Witness, honestly. But, yeah, we know them like before, and it's just like we see them and they change, and I mean, we just sometimes wonder if they're really happy just by being in it, because we just know that the person they used to be full of life, and now it appears that they are, but they're really not.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, I'm glad you're breaking loose from it. And hopefully your mother can kind of wake up too. Sometimes when they get older like that, you cut a little slack, you work with her. But I'm glad you're disconnecting, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you're on the six screens, JW World News program.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah, yes, go ahead. You're on with us. Go ahead.
Yeah, Rick, I was going to say, 2 callers back, that gentleman was talking about his mother-in-law. You know, what I went through was panic attacks, severe depression, and when I left, it was even worse. You know, I'd hyperventilate, everything else, you know. I mean, I know exactly what he was saying when he said that she would go to the doctors and they would say, it's all in your head. You know, I mean, he's completely right. I'd like to talk to him because that really hits home. I mean, yeah, this organization is so destructive to people's mental health. It's unbelievable. And a lot of it's hidden because they tell you you're bringing reproach on Jehovah's name when you say something to a doctor about it, you know, or, you know, that's my experience anyway. Thank you.
Well, my goodness, I'm glad to always have you come on and say hello to us. Thank you, Jeff. Well, we're going to switch gears. We're going to go to another story here. Something big happened this week. Really big.
Can I interrupt you for just 1 second, Rick? I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead, Eric. Yeah.
Is this Jeff from Rhode Island?
No, that's Jeff from Iowa.
Oh, okay. Well, if Jeff from Iowa ever wants to get a hold of me, my name is ERIKCUBLER 1981 @gmail.com. And if you want to, Rick will give your number to me if you want to talk. JWWorld.news or whatever it is. But sorry.
Yeah, no, in fact, Jeff, we got Dan and we got Eric on here. I'd like to say hello to you. I'll tell you what, if you don't mind, Jeff, I'll send Eric your telephone number. Would that be okay? Well, we don't hear from Dan. Okay, we'll see what happens. Okay, Eric, we'll hang it.
I just wanted to add one more thing, Rick.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say about your program and to give you a little bit of like praise that today, Joe and Fran got a hold of me and they told me that there's a guy from Westerly, Rhode Island, which they're like, do you know any from Westerly? I hung out in Westerly as a teenager. It was my go-to spot. It was the rich Jehovah's Witness community, and I know a lot of people there. And I'm in contact with someone who knows my family, and they're a PMO. And I think it's incredible. And I just want to praise, I think the outside story, what you created, and Joe and Fran, the three of you, has been a super duper blessing to our community of XJWs. And it's been a really healing experience. And I just thought I'd give that experience. I'm not trying to hijack your show or anything. Just, it was really a good thing. There's a good community here. And I just want everyone to know, even if you're a PME listening or PIMQ questioning, there's a good community here and we all love each other. And I just thought I'd share that.
Well, thank you, Dan. Thank you very much, Eric. I appreciate that. Let's hear
Yes, sir, I appreciate you. Goodbye.
Let's see what's 720. I think that's Dan. I think it's Dan. Dan, do you want to go on and say something? Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I did. I just wanted to chime in on what Eric was saying about, the mental illness. And I know I've talked about my mother before, that, her chant when she died was, Jehovah's going to kill me, Jehovah's going to kill me. And she had schizophrenia, but a lot of the sisters and brothers were on antidepressants. And I remember one time I went to the doctors, and the doctor tried to straighten out my leg. And he said, "What in the hell is wrong with you?" A regular physician. And I was uptight. I was uptight about the mind-body connection, what they were feeding me, what they were feeding my mind. And I didn't tell him, of course. I didn't say I'm a Jehovah's Witness and I'm scared shitless. But he couldn't straighten out my fucking leg. I mean, that's pretty bad. And then I met a lady after that, and she said, "What in the hell is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Why are you so uptight? Why are you acting this way?" And I didn't know. We don't know there's a mind-body connection. But what we know now is, how the hell, Rick, do you live under a death threat? You live under a death threat. You're told, you got to do this or else. My dad died. Same thing. I failed Jehovah. I failed to raise you kids in the mental regulating of Jehovah. I'm a failure. I'm a failure. Because we went away, came back, went away, came back. But just think about that, Rick. You're under a death threat. The only reason you're serving Jehovah is so you don't get killed, and you can get into paradise. But I was thinking about this a little while ago. How many death threats do you think we had while we were in there? You better do this. You better get your time up. You better do this. You better reach out. You better do this. And you never quite live up to it. Internally, you're a failure. You could have went to one more door today. You could have passed out some more Watchtowers. You could have pioneered last month. It was 5 weeks. It's never ending. And I was just thinking about that. I mean, yeah, there's mental illness in there. There's people are crippled by it. They're literally crippled. And when I saw my uncles and my brothers at my brother's funeral, he died, Rick, chanting the same shit. You're going to die, Danny. You're going to die. You're dead, man. And I'm like, what kind of religious organization chants death, 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 death to your family? And now they got a new message, death, 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 if you don't sign on with Jehovah. I mean, their new message, the one where they're showing, the people going door to door. And, are you afraid of the new message? Yeah, I'm afraid, because I'm going to go out and tell people you better believe like me or you're dead. That does sound Muslim. I'm sorry. I'm talking extremists, of course, because I think there's some good Muslims and good everybody. But the extremists, I mean, I can't believe, Rick, that I have chanted death for 40 years, death to everyone outside the doors of Watchtower. I mean, that is a cult, and it does have an effect on you. So I just want to say, along with Eric there, and also Jeff. I mean, Jeff says he had anxiety, he had all this stuff going on. Man, this is a doomsday cult, and you're a failure. You can never live up to it. When I wish you right, bad is present with me, miserable man that I am. Who will rescue me from? With my mind, I'm a slave to Jehovah's law. With my flesh, you're a failure. You're a loser. You know what I mean? And that's why there's this humility. This lady looked at me one time and says, "You're Jehovah's Witness, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah, how'd you know?" She said, "You all look the same. You all have this kind of, you all act the same. You don't have self-esteem. You don't have, and how could you if you can't live up and you can't make the mark and you're facing death?" You know what I mean? anyway, Rick, that's all I wanted to say.
Well, thank you, Dan. Always good to hear from you. Hey, listen, we got to move on. We got to move on. We have got the protest. We want to talk about the protest. So hang in. Save your comments for later. We are going to talk about the protest that happened on Halloween Day. Boy, I have to tell you, that was the highlight of my life. That was one of the top 10 events of my life. I really, really enjoyed it. I went down there last Tuesday. Well, that would have been Tuesday of this week, and it was fantastic. And I have to tell you, I am so impressed with what I saw there at the protest. Hundreds, we had over 200 people that came in from all over the country, all over the world, really. There was a woman from Brazil, people from the United Kingdom, people were coming in. There was one person from Germany that I met. So it was just unbelievable, the amount of people that came into our protest. And I want to really let you know that it was well organized, very well organized. And we'll talk a little bit about it. We have one of the organizers going to be coming out here with us as well. His name is Justin, and he did a fantastic job. But you know, first of all, I'm going to give you the definition of activism. Now, maybe you will agree with me, maybe you won't, but the policy or action, when you're an activist, the policy or action of using vigorous campaigning to bring about political or social change. I have to tell you that I believe this week, October 31st, in front of the White House, is bringing about social change. I feel that. I've been protesting for going on 20 years, and I've never seen what I witnessed on Halloween Day, October 31st. There was a camaraderie. There was an allegiance to get the message out. And I'll tell you, the protest was well organized. It was very effective. I have all the greatest thoughts about it that I could ever have. We're going to bring one of the organizers on here very shortly to talk about it. But friends, I have to tell you, I'm still excited. I'm still excited even tonight. This is Saturday night, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm still excited. I tell you, I'm on a natural high. I really loved what I saw. I saw people come out and stand up against the Watchtower organization. It was really exhilarating. It was absolutely fantastic. So let me I'm going to bring on here Justin. Justin is one of the organizers of this. And I have to say him and the lady, I'm not going to name her. She wants to remain anonymous, but it was well done. Let's bring Justin on. Hello, Justin.
How are you? Thank you for having me back on.
Well, thank you, Justin. My goodness gracious. We enjoyed the protest the other day. It was just fantastic. You did a good job. I mean, there was a lot of work in that. And, you know, people might not recognize you, Justin, but geez, you had to spend a lot of hours putting that together, I can tell you.
Oh, yeah. Had to be done right.
I mean, probably for many months you were putting that together, but it went off really, really good. I have to tell you, I was so happy to see so many people out there protesting. And really, in fact, I'm still on a natural high. I feel so good about it. And I know a lot of people, more than I thought. Now, when you were on last week prior to the protest, you know, I asked you, do you think, Justin, we can get 50 people? He said, oh, yeah. You think we can get 100? Yeah, I think we get 100. I counted over 200. Now, it's hard to count because, you know, the other people walking around, too, that weren't ex-witnesses. But I did try to sort them out. So I counted about 216 people, Justin, you know?
Wow.
Now, I don't know if anybody else was counting, but I kept stopping and looking around and trying to do what I could. But, you know, in the morning, I was a little disappointed when I showed up at, 9:30, we were there, and there's only a handful of people. And I'm thinking, oh, my goodness, I hope this doesn't become like a flop. But then around 10 o'clock, more people came in. Then about 11 o'clock, there was 53 people. And then around 1 o'clock, there was 153 people. So I'm saying, wow, this is good. So they kept coming in. And near the end, when we closed down, there's over 200. So that was good, Justin.
Yeah.
So what would you
Yeah,
like to
I was
tell?
pretty surprised.
Yeah, you were surprised. What would you like to tell the audience tonight?
I mean, first of all, just thank you. I mean, we, like you said, we started off with a smaller crowd, and then it just kept growing and growing and growing. I've heard many different numbers, but all the numbers have been over 200. So, I mean, that's fantastic. I looked up 1 second, the street was just filled with people supporting us, and yeah, so definitely thank you guys so much for supporting everybody who came there in person. And thank you also to everybody who watched online. I mean, we had between all the different streams, all the different channels streaming the protest, we had thousands of people all watching it at the same time. So talk about the unity there. I mean, that's that's what the Watchtower tells you, that you can only find in their organization. But yet here we are doing it on the outside by ourselves.
Well, I'll tell you what. In fact, I think it might have been one of the largest live streaming events ever in the history of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. I think if you tabulate it all up, there were close to 15,000 people listening from all the live streaming. I mean, that is phenomenal. So the dynamics are changing, Justin. When I drove home from Washington, I was so elated, so excited that I drove home and I'm thinking, my God, this is amazing that all these people showed up. I didn't think we'd get that many because I've been protesting for 18 years. And, I'm coming. People would say I'm coming, but, they always gave excuses that they couldn't. But when I saw those people there, I almost fainted. I couldn't believe it. It was wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, the amount of support. I mean,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, I really can't say thank you enough. And not only did we have support from our own people, but there was a lot of people just on the sides who came there to see the White House, and they were stopping in their tracks, stopping their tourist activities and watching us. And some of them were even recording us. So it just shows we really had an effect.
Oh, it was, in fact, it was something I have to tell you. In fact, it was one of the top 10 events in my whole life. I'm 75 years old, but I mean, that will go down in my mind forever. And that's what I love to see. People were willing to say, that's it, had enough, I'm coming out. So it was wonderful. But I met so many people there. I met people from all over the world. And Justin, I have to tell you, I felt like a rock star. I mean, people were coming up and wanting to take selfies. I never realized that we all make a big impact, including you and all the other people as well. We're really demonstrating that, we can go out, we can talk about the Watchtower. And even though people might not be able to do that, they might feel funny about it, but we're able to do it. So the people really love what we're doing. And I want to thank all those people that do that. They appreciate the efforts. Now, I have to tell you, Justin put a lot of work in the lady that really was involved in the Be Free 2023, getting us all together. She doesn't want to be known, and I certainly wouldn't spill the beans on her, but that woman worked very hard along with Justin. So I really, really want to tell her, thank you. Thank you for putting this together. It was very, very meaningful. You guys did a wonderful, wonderful job. So what we're going to do, Justin, is we're going to open the lines here. We got a lot of people want to know what took place, how it took place. So if you'd like to talk to Justin, he's on with us. He was the organizer of the event. He did a great job. If you would like to talk to him about whatever, he's on with us today. So why don't you hit *6? Come on and say hello to Justin. You got questions on the protest? Let's hear what you have to say. I mean, some of the questions I've been being asked all day, people have been writing to me, and they're saying that, Rick, did you think that the protest was successful? Without a question, the protest was successful. I mean, I wish we had over 200, but that was fine. I was hoping we could get 200. We got them. I was hoping to get 100. We got them. So why don't you come on right now if you can? Don't be bashful. Hit *6. Come on, ask Justin. Talk about what took place. Ask us what took place at the protest. So go ahead. You'll run with us.
Hey, Justin.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to thank you guys for all, Rick and Justin, and all that you guys did, what you did, and all the work that it takes to set this up. My 13-year-old daughter is just now waking up, and I'm still very careful. I don't want to throw everything at her at one time, so I try to just do little tad bits. And she asked me what I was doing that day, and Joe and Fran had sent me a link. I think it was Be Free Till 23 or 2023 or Be Free 2023 YouTube video. And I told my daughter what I was watching it as the protest, and she says, "Dad, I want to see it. I want to see it for myself since I can't be there." And I was okay. I shared that video with her, and she was just in awe. She and her beautiful mind at 13 is waking up, but not realizing, like myself years ago when I woke up. You realize you're not alone, and how powerful that is when you realize you're not alone, you're not crazy. So somebody to wake up at 13 is so beautiful. And she watched the protest. She was, "Dad, this is amazing. I wish I could have been there." Thank you guys, because it is waking people up. It is helping people. So what all of you guys are doing is paying off. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you. Wow, waking up at 13. Jeez. Well, that's fantastic for her. At least she's still young, and she'll be able to recover and have a regular, bright future. That's awesome.
Well, that is awesome. I'll tell you that right now, Justin. I mean, that's neat. And more people, I'll tell you what, that video by all the different people that put it up will make a real big difference in helping people get out of the Watchtower. So let's do this. I wanna share part of the video. Let's go back. I'm gonna put the video up. This is the video of the protest. So let's put that up right now so people can see it. And let's start sharing it. So I want you to see it. So, okay, let me just make sure the sound is up, and you'll be able to see what's going on here. All right. So let's play the video. Twitter, we're glad we could do this. I'm glad I could come down from Boston. And so we'll be all day long, for the most part, in and off, trying to cover up what's kind of, not to cover up, but trying to show you and cover this event as best we can. And if all goes well tonight in a hotel room, we'll do the same thing tonight. So we'll have some guests over in the hotel room, and we'll be able to discuss things, interview some of the people that are at the protest. So we're looking forward to that. Thank you very much for listening in. We always like to have an audience, and make some comments too, if you want, in a comment box. But there may be a lot of. We'll stop right there. That's the so that was about what you're looking at there on the screen. If you're on with us, well, that was about 10 o'clock in the morning, and there was a handful of ex-witnesses there. Now you can see that police car in the background. Friends, I have to tell you, there were tons of police people, Secret Service people. I mean, they had dogs. They were sniffing our bags that we came in with. But even when I went into the Ronald Reagan garage, I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I wanted to make sure I was there on time. They wanted us there at 9:30. So I went to the Ronald Reagan garage. It's about a mile and a half from the Watchtower. So I had a little carriage. I put all the signs, all the banners, all my video equipment in there. And I walked down to the park, Lafayette Plaza, a park that we were going to do the protesting at. So it took me a while to get there. But even when I pulled into the garage, the police, they were searching my car. They said, "Let's take a look here." So they're looking through all my cameras and all my signs and equipment. They said, "Okay, you're set to go." So anyways, I got clearance and off I went. I wheeled the cart down. And so you're looking at about 10:30 in the morning, that picture right in front of you. So that is showing there wasn't a lot there. I was a little concerned. Well, maybe we're not going to get a lot of people coming in, but let's move forward. I'll give you some ideas. Let's move forward with our video. A lot of background noise. I forgot. Let's just move this up a little bit. So as time went on, more and more people started coming in. And let me just see if we can't. Yeah.
Let's remember this.
So you can see that now that girl right there that you see, that woman actually, well, that is Stephen Lett's daughter, not daughter, niece. That's Stephen Lett's niece. She actually is third. Well, anyway, she wanted to speak up about Stephen Lett. She wasn't inhibited to do so. So I think she was a better speaker than Stephen Lett. I have to tell you that. But I'm so glad that she was there. So I got to meet her. Her name is Brandy. So we got to meet Brandy. Let's move forward and see what else is going on here. And that lady right there that you see on the film, well, that lady right there, she was abused. She was abused by the Watchtower. Let's listen in and see what you think.
The police was an option. The elders questioned me. I sat in a tiny room. I remember being probed with questions about every detail for them to tell me that there were no witnesses and that it was my word against his. So I believed it was in Jehovah's hands.
So that poor woman, she, they wanted every detail, and she was molested in the Jehovah's Witness organization, but they don't care. They have no feeling at all. So we'll move on. Let's see what else is going on here. Well, this is a man here. That man's name is Pablo, and he actually
never received any professional support.
Well, he talked about some of the difficulties that he experienced in the Watchtower, but then he also did it in a number of languages, so people from all over the world could listen in and hear what Pablo had to say.
Or
let's move forward and see what else happens here.
Actual pain.
See what else we got there. Now, this is a good sign right there. Isn't that a beautiful sign? FBI investigate Watchtower for child sex abuse. Really, I would hope that they would do that. Maybe we can get some traction going. Maybe people will, maybe the FBI was listening in. I'm not sure. Who knows? But at least if you do nothing, nothing happens, right? But at least we're asking for the Watchtower to at least, for the FBI at least to investigate the Watchtower. So that's a good banner that was shown. And let's see what else goes on here. I'm just skimming along here. Give me some ideas as what's going on. We had a great protest. So there I am. There's yours truly. I'm right there. I gave my little speech. Let's see what I have to say a little bit.
They couldn't be here. They wanted to be here, but some of them just couldn't do it. So they say that they're in spirit. So that's a wonderful thing. So anyways, we all know that many of the pleasures of life have been taken away from us when we were Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah, the pleasures of life have been taken away from us when we were Jehovah's Witnesses. So just wanted to, I talked a little bit about that. I spent 5 minutes and talked about how I was invited down to New York for a potential position on the governing body as well. It's nothing more than a big business masquerading as a religion. So, and there's Justin there. Let's listen to Justin.
Home from the hospital alone after losing their wife and their newborn due to not having blood. Again, this is not an exaggeration. These are realities. You don't believe it? Look it up. It's on Google. Look it up. Do your own research, something that people are not allowed to do as witnesses.
Yeah, so Justin was talking about the blood and how children will be sacrificed. Now watch what happens. We do have a picture there of a Watchtower magazine coming up that shows people who have died, young kids, as martyrs. Listen to him.
Do your own research. So with that, I want to invite up Ivy, our next speaker.
Well, let's see. Let me go back a little bit. I just want to go back a little bit. You might remember this. Well, anyways, it was the picture of the Awake magazine with all the children that have died due to the blood policy of the Watchtower. And they were making martyrs out of them. Then a lady came up with a great sign that we had, and she showed that sign. It was the cover of the Awake magazine, showing how despicable that was. So, I just want to go back and this woman here. Let me. Did this woman? I'll tell you what. I'm going to say that she was the greatest speaker there. She had so much enthusiasm. I want you to listen into a little bit of her. She was fantastic, and the people really loved her. Let's play it right now. Let's play it right now.
And then the organizers of the protest today. I'm actually here from Florida. I was previously in the organization probably from 2001 up until 2020. I don't know if anybody else came in after the trade towers. You're like, oh shit, Armageddon. But that was me. I had previously thought I wouldn't be a witness because my mother and father were disfellowshipped. And as a teenager, me and my 3 siblings were shunned as well, right? Byproduct of being in a disfellowshipped household.
I'm just going to say that I give her the gold star. I give her the best speaker there. I mean, we were all good. Everyone did good, but she was really, really effective. Listen in a little more. I think you'll really appreciate what she had to say.
So when I came back around, I'm like, really? Are you doing this? But now I stand before you because my mother, who I love dearly, and she doesn't really have a situation or an excuse, so I won't make one. But I had needed to make the decisions that were best for me to escape an abusive marriage, right? So while I was a witness, I was also married for 17 years, and I had wrote a very extensive 4-page letter to the branch detailing all of the abuse, verbal, physical, financial, the whole 9. And I got a letter back that pretty much said, keep your chin up. Keep persevering in prayer. You'll be okay. And then I got an acknowledgement from my local body of elders saying, yeah.
I'm going to move forward a little bit because, I mean, this woman really had the guts. She was yelling at the White House for them to investigate the Watchtower. Listen in. You'll love this. Listen in.
But I didn't do any of those things. I actually just devoted my time, my life, and my everything, right? Your whole soul, mind, strength. Y'all know the scripture. You give it all because you're thinking you're actually doing the greatest good, only to find out that you actually were handicapping and crippling and disabling yourself. And you were also doing a huge disservice to all of your fellow human beings by being so close-minded and judgmental. So now that we are here to join in solidarity for those that are with us, those who couldn't make us, those who are in different zip codes, area codes, and time zones, let's really make this count. The next time we get to do this, let's keep doing this because everyone out there needs to know what's happening. And I'm going to need y'all to start taking them tax dollars back from the Watchtower. They're not serving the community. They're not doing food drives. They're not paying people's bills. There's no utility vouchers. They're not doing tutoring for schools. They're not doing daycare. They're literally taking the dollars from their members and they're patting their pockets.
Well, I thought that was wonderful. She was yelling at the White House and saying, listen, investigate these guys. They're taking tax dollars, but they're really not legitimately doing it. I thought that was wonderful. Well, anyways, let's end that here and let's go back and see what Justin has to say about this. So, Justin, what do you think of that? I mean, what was your take? What did you like for speeches down there? What really caught your attention?
I think everybody came there and did their thing, you know. I mean, we got the message across pretty clear. I don't think anybody that was in that area, I don't think you could miss us, you know. We got the streets filled, and everybody came out there and really just delivered the message, and we exposed every single facet of the Watchtower, whether it's the shunning and disfellowshipping, the CSA issues, the blood. I mean, just went down every path.
Well, no, it was really, really well done. It was. I mean, people really. I saw a lot of people that really weren't ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, but I saw a lot of people that were listening in. They were visiting the White House and they were stopped and they listened to what we had to say. So, the message is getting out not only to Jehovah's Witnesses, but also to people that in general of how evil the Watchtower organization is. And, I have to say, too, I'll just mention to the audience here that's listening in tonight, there was a man that I call a monkey man. and he was playing this bebop music, and people were dancing, and it was very loud. And I'm saying, oh, I hope this man doesn't disrupt our protest here because the music's kind of loud. But he kind of calmed down, and that was nice. He did that, and we were able to get this off on a good start. Did someone speak to him, Justin? What happened there?
Yeah. Someone spoke to him and offered him some money to make him kind of go away for a little bit. So that
Yeah.
definitely helped us out, especially because you know how YouTube is. And if you have even licensed music in the background, they'll shut down your stream. So I didn't want that happening. So that's part of the reason that I kind of held things off at the beginning. Let's get this guy out of the way first, and then before we start things off.
Well, listen.
Hey, Rick.
Yes,
This
you're
is
on.
Fran.
Fran, yes, go ahead, Fran.
Yeah, we were at the protest, and the brother that was talking to the gentleman, his name was Will. Will gave some speeches, and he was over there talking to him very calmly, and he worked out a agreement with him that he wouldn't play his music. So he was very respectful of it, you know. But at first it was loud, but it was Will, the one that was from West Virginia, and he talked to him.
Well, thank you, Will. Thank you for doing that. So, Fran, while you're still on here with us, what do you think? What was your take? I mean, you're back in New York now, but what did you and Joe think? I mean, really?
Well, we loved it.
Yeah, it was tremendous. It was really good.
And if it wasn't for Justin coming on when he did a couple weeks ago, because we weren't planning on going, but when we saw him on and we saw you and him, and we wanted to just be there and support you.
Yeah, and I mean, and the people were enjoying it. And as much as a protest it was against the injustices that have been done, it was as much a truth to the fact that there's love among the XJWs, and their lives are improving. I mean, the lives that they had inside the organization. The organization always claimed that we would fall apart and degenerate if we ever left the organization, and that's an absolute lie. We've done nothing but prosper, and we truly appreciate everybody and all the love they're showing for that.
Well, that was absolutely amazing, Joe. We had such a good time. And I have to tell you, after the protest, one of the protesters came up to me and said, Rick, did you see those guys in the mask? It was either 2 or 3 of them. I forget what he said. But I said, yeah, I kind of saw them. He says, well, those were people that are physically in and mentally out. And they came to the protest. They didn't want anyone to see them. But, you know, people were listening in. When you have over 6,000 people, as a matter of fact, from what I estimate, there were close to 10,000 people listening in on our live streaming. When you stop and think about that, who are these people that were listening in? Are they all ex-Jehovah's Witnesses? No, I have to say they were actually probably active Jehovah's Witnesses. So that was actually something else. If you'd like to come on, if you'd like to ask Justin or me a question about the protest, by all means, hit *6. Come on, let's talk about it. I know a lot of people couldn't make it there. Obviously, it's expensive to travel around and what have you. But I know a lot of people were there in spirit. But what did you think of the protest? Did you watch the protest? Did you watch the live streaming? What do you think? Do you think it was effective? Do you think that we're going to make a difference in getting people out of the Watchtower? So go ahead. Don't be bashful. Hit *6. Come on. Say hello to us. Let me take a look at some of the YouTube comments.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Hey, it's David. How are you?
David, doing good.
Good. So I did watch some of it, and I was going to wait to talk to maybe in private. But do you think that most people who are doing this, going out of their way to these rallies, and do you think it's kind of like a healing thing, or do you think they're really there to spread the message? I mean, you guys do a fair enough of it online, over the phone, whatever. why do we need to have these rallies?
Well, the thing was, well, what it is, David. I'm an activist, and by definition, an activist, at least if they're trying to expose something, is going to be out there. They're going to do it whether it's protesting, however they would do it. So, we were trying to let the people know around the world what the Jehovah's Witnesses are hiding behind. And, they're hiding behind the main focus of that protest was they're hiding behind, child abuse, sexual abuse, and they're hiding behind shunning. So, those people came out to at least let the world know what the Jehovah's Witness organization is hiding behind. So
that was the reason why I asked is because I get what you do and all that stuff. It's just I noticed this with like Black Lives Matters, Antifa. I kind of wonder, like, when people have to like leave their house in 2023, 21st century to get their word across or the word out. It kind of makes me feel like that's not necessary anymore. But I just wonder if it is like kind of like a healing thing for people to go out and participate together and actually get together and maybe hug each other, cry about stuff. Maybe even sometimes scream.
well, let's ask Justin. Justin, would you say that you had a healing experience the other day?
Well, for me, I would say even before starting my activism, I had to get to a certain level of healing because I didn't want to be just another angry person, out here speaking against the Watchtower. So I had to get to a certain level of healing. So for me, it wasn't about healing. Just as Rick said, I'm looking at it more of an activist point of view. I'm looking at it to teach others. A lot of the stuff that we do on YouTube, on my own channel, I'm sure on this channel, is we're speaking mostly to other ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, other people who are PMO or in the process of waking up. But with an event like this, the whole focus was to reach people outside of that circle. So we're reaching the general public. We have the goal of reaching the media, and of course, the ultimate goal of reaching the people in Congress. So that's really what this was about: is getting our word out to other people. And that's something that you can do more effectively at an event like this, rather than only speaking online. Because to get the people, in order to get to us online, you got to be looking for us. You know what I mean? Whereas out there, we kind of found them. And for sure, just seeing the people that were stopping in their tracks, watching us, recording us, we for sure reached people that we otherwise maybe have never reached. And just think about, in your own life, or anybody out there listening, think about how your life would change if you heard the XJW message before you heard the JW message. So that's what this is about, is getting our message to them first. And that way they have a chance to, to not get trapped in that cult, and they already know what it is before they come.
Thank you very much, Rick.
Quick question. I was just wondering if Fritz Springmeyer is coming on tonight or not.
Yeah, Fritz is coming on at 9:00 tonight. Yeah, after this program, Fritz will be on. Okay,
Great, thank you so much.
Gilbert, did you want to come on, Gilbert, and speak from Arizona? I saw Gilbert on here. Yeah, in fact, I'm sure he had a lot to say. It's just amazing. Yes, go ahead, Philip. Gilbert. Yeah, Gilbert. Yeah.
Hey, I thought David asked an excellent question, because there really isn't an answer to his question, because, if you have 200 people or 1,000 or whatever, if you have 1,000 people on YouTube or more doing videos, everyone's doing it for different reasons. And all of those reasons are very good reasons, and they're healthy reasons. And one, what Watchtower always would tell us, that we have to show that we're repentant. Well, I'm pretty repentant, Rick, and I'm sure you are too, because, as having served, I've been going to the meetings. I was a kid going in the meetings in 1975. This is my way of saying I'm sorry. There's a lot of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses who've done videos, gone to protests, and they're trying to say, hey, I messed up, but I want to right the wrong. And whatever your reason for going to a protest or doing videos or doing whatever, I really believe it's healthy and it's all good. So that was a very good question. I don't think there's just one answer. I think all of the answers are good answers because we all are doing it for different reasons. Those that were
I never
are doing it for other reasons. Those that were shunned are doing it for other reasons.
I never thought of it like that. Look, can I ask you a question, Gilbert? Because you've been completely honest with me. Do you guys feel guilty for bringing people into this religion, or bringing people to Jesus?
Yeah, well, I served as an elder, and so I feel it's just my personal feeling, and I don't tell people my personally. It does move me. I want to show that I'm sorry, and I want to show that I'm a changed person, and not just for other people, but to myself. I want to prove to myself that I really have changed, and I don't want to be this way anymore. And activism helps me. But like I said, everyone is different, and we all do things for different reasons, and I totally respect it.
I gotta go. Hello. Yeah, guys. Thank you, Rick. Rick, I'm so glad you didn't leave, Rick. Good job. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Go ahead, Joe. Come on, say hello to us.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I think it's a great discussion about that. David, I think your comment, your input is great. If you have any kind of suggestions that might be helpful. I know my personal input is I don't feel guilty about anything that I've done in the organization. I do feel responsible, though, for warning people about what the society has done and is doing, and the changes that need to be made. And that's a big discussion that's taking place in all religion. And it feels so good to do our part. And I'm so glad that there was a number of people there that shared that. And I think it's a very responsible thing to do, and I appreciate you noticing it.
Well, I noticed Joe and Fran when I was there at the protest. I have to say, you guys really have passion and commitment. And, out of the corner of my eye, I saw Fran. Man, she is a real go-getter. Fran, I don't want to embarrass you here, but you really are a real go-getter. You were running. You had those postcards that you made up about the Jehovah's Witnesses, and I saw you talking to people and going around. You are quite the saleswoman, Fran. I'll tell you what. You and Joe too. You have passion and commitment, and that's what it really takes to expose the Watchtower. Good for you guys. Justin, I got a lot of people writing me here now on YouTube, and they want to know, was there any media coverage? Was there any newspapers or media coverage there at the event, Justin?
So we had two media outlets reach out to us, one about a week before the event, and then I had, I believe it was Capital News that reached out to me about 30 minutes before we started on the day of. So honestly, I don't know if they came or not, because like you said, the crowd started out smaller, and then all of a sudden I looked up and the street was filled with our people. So it's possible that they just got lost in the crowd. I did see people out there with professional-looking cameras, so who knows? Maybe we see an article come out, in a day or two. Well, we definitely reached out to them.
I have to tell you, even the program that we had on before JW World News came on, we had a program called Touched by the Tentacles of the Watchtower. And we did have a man come on that was at the protest. And he said that there was a newspaper reporter there taking notes. And he answered some questions for her. So that's good. I don't know who that was, but maybe it will show up online. But I'll tell you what, Justin, I really was impressed. I have to tell you, it was well organized. This was not done on the seat of your pants. It was well organized. We do have a Pasta Babe coming in. A Pasta Babe, say hello to Justin. Say hello to Justin. You with us, Pasta Babe? Go ahead. You're on with us. Linda James. All right. I did see her on here. She is unmuted. Did you want to say something about the babe? Evidently not. I'm not sure, but let's go with Anonymous. Anonymous, go ahead. You're on with us.
Hey there, Rick.
Yes.
Wanted to tell Justin how much I appreciated how he brought out that wasn't really going against the Watchtower. It wasn't an anti-Watchtower to be tearing them down. It was more pro-humanity, because it didn't matter what religious group or what kind of group. They were doing things inhumane, and that's what motivated me. I'm going to start back up activism again. I just set out, hung the whistle up. Well, I'm going to get it out and start blowing it. I held that big old heavy sign of yours, Rick, for as long as I could, and I had to go take a rest and go sit down. So I went over on the ledge there, that big fence around the White House, and I was still holding a little bitty sign that a friend gave us, said, "Watchtower, stop your shunning." And this lady come up. I mentioned her earlier in the previous show. I didn't know who she was. She told me her name and told me where she is from. And she would look like a businesswoman. I explained to her everything. I told her, about the pedophile pictures there that we knew that was serial pedophiles on there, how that if they don't have mandatory reporting, then they could be back in not only our community and our church, but in her community and hurting the little kids there. And so, we need it in all 50 states. I told her everything about the shunning. And anyway, she just, she was just shocked to hear it, because she did not know. And I thought, well, she's probably a business person. I don't know if it's government or not. Since the start of the show, I started looking up her name and where she told me she's from. And I was kind of shocked. She's the director of the ACLU. So I'm not sure she's going to do anything, but at least she knows about it now. And I tell even when I go out to eat, I tell the waiters, and they go back and tell the staff in the kitchen and come back and say, yeah, none of us knew that it wasn't already all 50 states. I tell them about the 2-witness rule. And anyway, I appreciated every speaker there. They did an excellent job.
Well, thank you, Randy. In fact, I have to tell you, it was so great, because I'll tell you who was there. Ryan, Ryan, she's on YouTube. She does her little weekly broadcast. She was there. And there was Selena Vertolomo was there as well. She gave a little speech, and she gave me a big hug after. In fact, I'll tell you, because I thought that Selena was mad at me, when she came on the 6 screens and called in a month or so ago. But she said, "No, Rick, no, I'm not mad at you. My mother's mad at you, but I'm not." She said, so I got to meet her, and that was wonderful. And there were others there as well. Wally, my goodness, Wally was bouncing around like a kangaroo, taking videos. He was doing a great job. So Fran and Joe and all the people from YouTube, it was wonderful that they were there.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Speaking about Wally, we got a shout out, because Wally has been traveling. He left the state of Washington, and he's been touring all the states and doing meetups all along the way.
Yeah.
And on his way back home, just to let folks know, in Southern California, because we were there on our trip, November 8th, Wednesday, he's going to have a meetup, and it's going to be at Brewery X. It's 3191 East La Palma Ave, Anaheim, California, between 5:30 and 7:30. And if anyone wants that information, they can contact us or JP. We're not going, obviously, but JP is going to be there, and maybe a pasta babe, I'm not sure. But there's going to be a bunch there from Southern California to meet up with Wally.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Fran, for bringing that to our information. Yeah, that's good. Well, what a good man Wally is. I mean, really does a great job. And it's just so, I'm going to look back at this for years to come. I have to tell you, it was something else. When I left, I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to the protest and make sure I was there on time. Loaded the car up, put all the banners. I had this little carriage that I put all the banners and all my equipment in. So I went to the Ronald Reagan garage, which is about a mile and a half from the site. And so when I first pulled in the morning, they looked at, there was 2 security officers there, and they looked at the stuff. They said, well, what's this? What's that? The cameras, all this, but they let me in, no problem. So I left, I walked to the protest, was about a mile and a half away, got there, unloaded. But then when I went back, The problem was they wouldn't let me back into the parking garage to get my car with all that stuff. They said, you can't bring this stuff in here. You should have saw the security, the police, the Secret Service. I never seen so many police officers in one place in all of my life. So I tried to get back into the parking garage and they wouldn't let me in. You have to leave that stuff. You can't bring this sign. You can't bring this equipment, these cameras. They got to stay outside. You got to come through here. And then I walked in. They said, get the car, then drive around and pick it up. So, geez, I went in. I had to take my belt off. I had to give my wallet. They put you through a scanning machine. And so I had a box cutter. Oh, my goodness, a box cutter that I had in there because I use it for cutting, the rope and what have you for the banners. So the security officer says to me, well, what's this box cutter? I mean, he's looking at me like I'm a terrorist. I mean, remember the box cutter was used back at 9/11. So he's looking at the box cutter. I thought I was going to be arrested. I'm serious. So he's got this real grim look. But he says, what's this for? He said, well, I'm in this, I'm protesting. I need to cut the string and the rope and all this. So he kind of hemmed, he hawed. He said, okay, go ahead. But I mean, geez, I had a hard time getting out of that garage. But they had dogs there sniffing, the bags that we were bringing in. They had more police, Secret Service. It was unbelievable. I'll never forget it, really. But it was well worth it. I really enjoyed my trip to Washington, D.C., and I'm sure even Justin did as well. Well, listen, you're on with us. Apostle Babe, did you want to say something? We got Apostle Babe. Linda James, go ahead. You're on with us. Go ahead, Linda. Okay, if you want to say something, you're on with us. We've got a number of people that would like to say something.
Rick?
Yes, go ahead.
Hey, Rick, this is Jay from St. Augustine.
Well, yes. In fact, Jason, good to have you back with us. Yes.
All right. I just wanted to call in. I just wanted to thank the organizers for what they put together. That was my first protest, and I was very impressed. And it's a great feeling to be a part of that.
Well, wasn't that something, Jason? I'm glad you acknowledged that because I did. I know the work involved. This stuff just doesn't metamorphosize and, turn into something. Somebody's going to plan this. And Jason and the woman that was behind this, I won't name any names, man, they put a lot of effort into this. So kudos goes out to them, really, really.
Yeah, I showed up about 10 o'clock and everything was already set up. The speakers, the microphone. So, I have to say thank you, Justin, and to the anonymous woman. Wow, what a great feeling. I felt great when I walked away from the White House. I felt like I really did something positive for especially the people that would have loved to be there, but just couldn't make it. I showed up for those people. I was there for all of those people.
Well, good.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, good for you, Jason. Now, I know you came up to the hotel room. I had some people come up after we had a post-protest interview. And I know you were up there and you really touched a lot of people, Jason. But, when you first came in, you were kind of, little down a little bit. But, boy, after you got off your chest what you did and how you stood up and protested, you felt 10 feet high, didn't you, Jason?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Well, see, that's what it's all about. You got that adrenaline rush. You got it off your shoulders. The Watchtower doesn't hold any control over you anymore. You're a free man. And I'm glad, Jason, I'm glad to see that you have been unlocked from the chains of the Watchtower.
Yeah, feels good to put your boots on the ground.
Oh, good man. You're a good man, Jason. Don't you ever give in, up or out. We're proud of you. Okay.
All right, thank you very much. You have a good night.
Well, thank you. I just want to say is Susan listening, not my wife, Susan, but there is a woman that really loved the protest. She listened into this broadcast every Saturday night. She said, "Are you out there, Susan? I'd love to have you come on and say hello to us. Susan, are you out there? Don't be shy. Hit that *6 and come on and say hello to us." Well, maybe she won't. She listens in. She said every Saturday night, but she came up to our room afterwards when we were there and said how much she really enjoyed the protest. Boy, people were 10 feet high. They were just absolutely unbelievable.
Excellent speaker. I really enjoyed hearing her.
Wasn't that something, Randy? Huh? She did a great job. All right, so let's do this. We do have Fritz. If you're on the line, your program's coming up next. I'm going to give Justin the last word here. But hang in with us, Fritz. You're coming up next on the Six Screens program. Go ahead, Justin. What's your last word?
Yeah, I mean, once again, thank you everybody who came. Thank you for all the support. And hopefully this is just the beginning of something more. You know, what I would personally like to see is a protest like this in all 50 states on the same day. That way it accommodates everybody. You know, we're not all having to journey to one place, but we can all do it at all 50 state capitals on the same day. Sounds like a big idea, but you know what? Protesting in front of the White House was also a big idea too, up until Tuesday. So now we've been there, done that. So let's see what we can do next. Let's keep it going on, you know?
Well, that's an excellent idea. I'd like to participate in that as well. But, you know, something that really grabbed my attention when we were all leaving, when the protest was over, I saw all the ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. They were hugging one another, shaking hands. They couldn't really disconnect. They were having a hard time. I mean, I even spent a couple hours myself after the protest. I couldn't leave them talking to people. So I'm just thinking out loud that maybe it's now time for an ex-Jehovah's Witness convention. And I'm looking at that now. There's a lot of people, sometimes they don't want to protest. They feel uncomfortable. But I'm looking to put together an ex-Jehovah's Witness convention in a major city in the United States within the next year or two and see if we can't put that together. So I'll be talking more about that here on the Six Screens Telenetwork. Jason, you're a good man. I'm very proud of you. I'm very impressed that you're a man of action and you are willing to go forward and put a lot of work into this. And thank you for doing that, Jason. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Well, thank you. All right. Well, we're going to end our program here, folks. I really mean that. We had a good time here tonight. We got Fritz Springmeier. Well, Fritz Springmeier, he wrote the book, The Watchtower, Bloodlines of the Watchtower, Bloodlines of the Illuminati. He talks about things that you've never heard before. So why don't you stay with us tonight and listen to Fritz. He'll be on just in a few minutes. So we want to thank all those people that are coming on tonight and talking about the protest, and all the people that went to the protest. Thank you for doing that, and spread the word and keep waving the flag of victory and let people know what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. And the last one leaving the Watchtower, please turn off the new light. Let's go to our program next, right here with Fritz Springmeier. We're going to end it right here. Stay with us. Thank you.